And if you've got any questions, guys, put them in the chat box and we will either answer them as we go along or we will stick them in at the end. Alexi from Japan says, good evening. Good evening to you. Morning, says Theo. And Sasha in Germany, morning. No, just afternoon for you as well. Righty ho. You see my screen then? Gold? Yep. Can somebody tell me or actually tell me? Can we see?
Yes.
Okay. So as you have seen, gold, it hit its all-time high and made a new one yesterday. And it's in a steady uptrend that's been going on all year, really. We had the consolidation period through the summer and then off it went again. And actually looking at that now, could that be a flag pattern? Did I say it was a flag pattern? I can't remember now. That was a 500 odd move and that was a 500 odd. Well, maybe claim it's a flag pattern. It's clearly at all-time highs. Silver is at the all-time high since 2011, and in 2011 it was at 49.50. So it would be expected that there will be some profit taking at 49.50. So we're going to be looking at that as well, and I'm going to be looking at taking profits, and we're going to be looking at why I am in what I'm in and why. And Bitcoin, as you know, started buying this at 8,000 in February of 2020. Gold and silver I've bought, and then crypto got out of, sat on the balance until 23 when I shared with you I was buying it again. And then I was buying it again in 24 and 25. 2024, I started buying artificial intelligence stocks. 2025, I've still been buying gold miners, etc. Still been buying crypto. Bought some XRP yesterday. Lots of things going on in the background there, so I've added to XRP. The dope stocks, cannabis, did extremely well yesterday. I shared a post in the forum, and prior to that, shared it with my investing group. And quantum computing, I've been doing well with this year. And the metaverse, I mentioned last week about the glasses that Facebook and Ray-Ban are using and the longer term implications of that. And it is longer term implications. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's just a further sign of where things are going. And of course, the other thing I've done very well out over the last few years is uranium. And I talk all the time about joining the dots. And I've spoken to a few folks this week, and they're going to say, well, how do you know all this stuff? Well, I've been doing this for 30 years, and I have been in gold for over 20 years. But gold is one of those that you buy. There are only certain times when you buy and hold gold, and then there are other times when it's a really poor investment. I've shown you many times before. And for example, if we have a look at this, this is a SPY. I've shown you this before, but you can get this, if you kind of get this in your mind, what goes on with the SPY. This year's weird because they're both up, 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 up. But generally, when stock markets crash, gold will go down with it, but not as bad and will recover quicker. But if you overlay gold going back to 2007, 2008, and again, I've shown you this many times before, but the crash in the S&P went down 60% and took 5 years to recover, whereas gold only went down 30% and took a year to recover. But if you were to overlay gold onto the S&P, you would see that gold at this point was going bong, 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 tripling, and then gold for the next 10 years was going down, other than the occasional pullbacks and the mini crash in 2018, and obviously in COVID. And again, COVID, gold went down in COVID, which makes no sense, but not as bad and recovered. In fact, they both recovered quite quickly. So the point is being in the right time at the right place at the right time. I talked before about the Wall Street tells you that that's not the case, but you have the skill set here with M2 to be able to do this. And I also shared with you last week, I mean, I spend a fair few thousand a year on research and spend hundreds of hours on research, but it is something that interests me. So that is the benefit. I posted on yesterday, I was talking about this Swissy potential trade I'd posted last week and why I got out at the weekend. And even though if I'd stayed in it, it would have been fine. It's too risky. I did have a question from a member about it. Bottom line is the spreads widen at the close, and you've also got at the moment you've got Trump, you've got Israel, you've got Ukraine, you've got Iran and Russia. Everything is all over the place. You never know what they're going to say at any 1 minute. And on the subject of that, at the weekend on Sunday, Trump on Truth Social posted a video all about the benefits of cannabis for medical cannabis. And it could well be that there is a figure, I can't remember who came up with a figure, it could save the American healthcare system $60 billion, they claim, and it's to do with seniors and CBDC, not everybody sitting around and on the beach and getting stoned. So it's not about legalizing it per se, and there is friction within the House to stop that. But anyway, as a result, yesterday I sent this out and said, okay, cannabis get a little higher. I have been heavily involved in MSOS, which is an ETF, and then more recently I have bought these two, and I bought this yesterday as well as, and I explained my reasoning. I think, well, if you have a look at the note I shared, this was the note I'd sent out to my investing group about buying some more XRP. And I was talking about this guy, Andrew O'Connell, and he is the guy that pointed me in the direction. I'd heard rumors about cannabis last year, and I couldn't really get my head around what was going on. And I found this guy on Substack, and his results have been extremely good. In fact, this is a lesson to learn. He's at the moment, he is the number one position for the US Investing Championship for Enhanced Growth Division. He's up 119%. The thing is, I mean, I have subscribed to him, and I think it was $200 or $300 for the year. And the thing about him is, what most people need to get their head around, he hardly does any trades. He hasn't done, I think he went 2 months over the summer. He was getting married and he wasn't around, but he hardly takes any trades. But he's up 119%. And if he continues to be right with his cannabis, he's quite probably going to be up 300 or 400% by the year end. And I would guesstimate we're probably with less than 10 trades. So again, it's this less is more is part of the game as well as. So I sent this out and I talked about CGC. This was one of the members of my investing group had asked me about this last week, and I'd had a look at it. And then I saw that the chief executive a few days ago had bought 27,469 at 182 CAD, Canadian dollar, which equated to, I think it was 140. So I just said to the investing group, look, if the CEO bought it last week and he's bought 27,000 of the things, do you not think that he's in the know as to what's happening next and where this is going? Now, I did talk about gaps and things. There were some gaps yesterday with cannabis because of all the noise on Sunday, and Trump sending it out on a Sunday. If anybody had known last week what that note was going to go out on Sunday, they would have made a fortune. Not just saying. So I bought it. I managed to get in at 146. The CEO in dollars had paid 132. So I was okay with that. And I explained as well that in April last year, it was at $14.50. So maybe a 10 bagger here. That was the comment that I was making yesterday. And then in terms of other things, I know myself, I studied crypto a lot in 2019. And again, spent a lot of time, money and effort. And in a half-hour video here was the consolidation of what I did and why. And I also explained what I thought was coming next. And if you have a look and a refresher, you will see that I was right on most things. And again, there's a full course here. If you go back and you take the time to study what I've been talking about for certainly the last 5 years in terms of markets. Now, as ever, we always start the week with Forex looking at mark to market. Great research. You can find out most of the things that are going on here, and it's free. And on the subject of free, if you get a free account with Reuters, they are reasonably good in terms of you've got business and the markets as well as world news. So keep your eye on that every morning. So I have a look in there. I also have subscriptions to the Financial Times. Don't recommend it particularly. Very amazingly lefty newspaper, but yeah, it has some value. I get it for free because I have an account with a broker, and if you've got an account of a certain size, you get various goodies that they give you. And then, of course, yesterday I said that this is the kind of the annual pantomime in America, where the Democrats, this time it's the Democrats' turn to do it. Hiss, boo, they're going to stop the government unless they get what they want. And of course, the Republicans going the other way. So it's going to go down to the wire, yawn, been there, seen it all before, but it might just be daft enough to cause some friction and some volatility in the markets for the next few days. Now, here, this is, we appear to be marching to war in Europe. more and more rhetoric from leaders. There was a famous photograph of Macron and Starmer, two of my favourite politicians, not in the back of a Jeep, looking at very similar to a certain German leader from the 30s in the back of a Volkswagen as they were surveying the French troops. But there is a lot of talk in Europe. The British Army is now sponsoring the football on the television, young males, and some politician the other day from the Labour Party, they have been eviscerating the white males, young white males who are protesting about the immigrants as far right-wing thugs. Now they're suggesting that companies should give time off to the aforementioned group of far-right white thugs to join the British Army as reservists. And it appears to be going more and more that way. And Putin's not backing off, and all the rhetoric's getting cranked up. Now, I showed you in Substack last week some of the people I follow. So this is the Andrew O'Connell. It cost me $200 or $300. I think now between myself and clients, it's maybe made us $60,000 or $70,000. So that was a good investment. But as I say, he doesn't do much. So if you're looking to trade all the time, then perhaps that's not the kind of person you want to follow. I've also shown with you before about Alistair McLeod, if you're interested in gold. I do know a lot about gold. He knows more, and he knows more on the fundamental and the trading side of it in terms of China specifically. But like a lot of gold buffs, Alistair is very much of a mind that fiat currencies are doomed and gold is going to be the be all and end all. And he may be right. China is positioning itself now to have a gold-backed yuan, which is very interesting. And bearing in mind that the BRICS countries represent nearly half of the world's population, then that could well come to pass. And then this was put out by Andrew O'Connell on Sunday on Twitter, so you could find it on there for free. And I shared the link yesterday. This is what Trump was talking about CBDs. And again, the Financial Times readership, as soon as it was mentioned, Trump and cannabis, oh, the whole world's going to be stoned and it's disgraceful. And it's not what was said. Read behind the headlines. All the headlines are there as clickbait for you. But if you have a read and you have a listen to the video, it does make a lot of sense. And Trump has been talking about this year. And now when they're talking about health benefits and money saving, then it becomes even more likely that it's going to happen. This is McLeod Finance Substack. If you're interested in learning more about gold, somewhere I have the link for this. I'll put this in the chat box. It's $8 a month, or I think about $90 or $100 a year. Where's my chat box gone? Zoom is so annoying. To everyone, right? It's in the chat box here. Very knowledgeable guy, and he's focusing on gold every day. And focus is a big thing as well. I talk to people often who want to trade, been thinking about it for years, busy work, busy life, and they're not ready to be successful for me. You have to have focus, and this is what this guy's doing all day, every day. And he's in his probably mid-70s now, but extremely knowledgeable. So certainly worth a read if you want to understand gold more and all the shenanigans that go on with the London Bullion Exchange, because that's in the midst of all the smoke and mirrors that have gone on for the last 30, 40 years with the selling and paper selling of gold and silver that doesn't exist. This is a guy I'd signed up to the other week, and I am going to follow him for a year. Now, the other thing to explain about all this, I don't just blindly copy any of these people. I look at the research. I'm trying to find people who know things that I don't and are looking in specific areas to give me an idea. And then I go off and I do my own research and I question it. And then I look for technical analysis for entries. And he's taken a few trades in the last few days that he's sent out. And I don't know where they are now, but it just didn't make any sense to me. And some of them won and some of them lost. It's for day traders, but he was buying in areas that, as I say, just didn't really make sense. So I'm trying to get my head around him, but it's good research. He is legit. He's done extremely well this year with China. I think he's up 300% this year because of what he did with China. And I was late in getting into China. So fair play to this fella. worth having a look. And then other things you can look at for free. So if you ever have a look and you see something, you think, oh, that's interesting. What's this company do? Go to UK, not UK, go to Yahoo and just type the ticker in. So for example, if you were looking yesterday at the cannabis that I was talking about, which was CGC, and you don't know anything about them, then you can go in here. You can see the 12-month price highs and lows. You can see the profile of the company, what do they do and how do they do it, and short explanation here. Also the financials, and I don't think any of the cannabis companies have actually made any money. No, lost, 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 lost. But the difference, the reason why this cannabis thing with Trump is so important, at the moment, the cannabis companies cannot claim expenses like normal companies. And I don't even think they can claim for labor. So as a result of which, they're very busy, but they don't make any money. Suddenly, if they can become a normal US company, then the profitability should become substantial. Any questions so far? Julian Jackson says, got 21.54% on cannabis, hit my take profit and went further. Yeah, well done, Julian. And again, it depends on what you're looking for with these things, whether you're in it for the short term, whether you're in it for the long term. And it takes some mental gymnastics to be able to do this. And the younger you are, the easier it will be. For me, because with stocks and crypto, I have been in it for the long haul in general, then I am finding it difficult to get involved in something just to make 10%. If it can't make me at least 25%, I'm not interested. And I'm really looking for bigger fish than that. And then on top of that, you have to think about, well, am I going to take all of it off in profit or doing my thing of keeping some? And I've told you before, I don't think he's with us today, Australian client of mine who had 100 Bitcoin back in 2015 and it tripled. I think he'd bought it at $500. It went to 15, tripled. Great. What a good investment. 100, bank the money. Yoo-hoo. And he said to me when he met me, he wished to God he'd met me sooner because I would have said, well, just keep 25% of it because it's bought and paid for you and you never know. And that tends to be my way of thinking. But I am going to show you some profits I have been taking recently because, as Julian's saying, concern is the stock market is at huge highs. He said, I've stopped a lot of investing as I can't see an entry as good stocks are too high. I fear a crash. What are my comments? Julian, I've been thinking there's going to be a crash for the last 3 years, which is why I'm heavily into gold and silver. Thankfully, because at the moment, I mean, and you have to be careful with hubris and arrogance and thinking you've cracked it with this game, as with any. At the moment, my portfolio is perfectly balanced. Oh dear, have I jinxed it now? Because of the gold and silver, hedging the crypto and hedging stocks and everything else. So the balance of it is fine, but it didn't just happen overnight. Although I'll show you Andy's again in a moment that we started in May and that's working. The issue is if you're starting today, yes, everything is at all-time highs. I don't like buying at all-time highs. And going back to Andrew O'Connell, he does put out ideas for trades, but he is very much one of these buying continuation moves or slight pullbacks. That's not for me. So again, I stamp my own technique and my own strengths onto other people's research that I'm picking their brains from. And hopefully you are doing the same with me. What I have been doing, I showed you, or it might be in the investing group, with one of my daughters, we were following an English guy who was on eToro and he was managing a portfolio of UK stocks. A lot of them were banks from memory. And he was up about 10, 12% in the time that she was following him, which was 3 months, which was good. Mine in the same period of time was up 70, but that was good because I wasn't doing anything in the UK. I sold them all 2 days ago. The UK government is bankrupt, as bad as any. But having said that, it's actually, I think the bond market now is worse than Greece. So the UK government is on the ropes. There's a new budget coming out next month of which they are going to try to steal as much money as they can from as many sources as they can. And one of the concerns is they're going to go after the banks, which the banks are an easy target because everybody hates the banks. So I just don't want to be involved in the UK. And it's insane because the UK economy yesterday, stock market was at all-time highs. The growth figures are down, the debt figures are down, the bond prices are up. It's nuts. But I would not touch the UK stock market at the minute. And I certainly wouldn't be buying it where it is at the moment. And so if we look, this is what I look at every day. Yesterday, this was bizarre because everything on here, well, obviously, no, on my portfolio, everything was green. Gold was at all-time highs. The stocks were high. The cannabis stocks were up 30%. The other stocks were up. It was nuts. But as you know, on a daily basis, I am looking each day to see where the money flows. Dollar index, we thought the other day it looked like it broke the 55. It might be on for a run up to 100, where spookily now the 200 is sat waiting. So if it does go on a run, that is where I expect it to stop. It stopped there last time to the pip at 122 without the 200 EMA being there, and it stopped there multiple times again. So if it does go on a run, that's what we expect. But at the minute, we're back under the 55. The bias is down still. Then this is the futures for T-bond. Broken back higher, looks as though it's going to go up. Not good for the dollar, although the individual ones at the minute are all down. And the US economy needs the bonds prices to be down because that's the interest they're having to pay. So again, as Julian's saying, you know, everything's high. It's insane. So one of the things I did the other day, I bought some puts on the SPY. And what that means is I am betting that it's going to go down. I have the right to sell the SPY and it is buying a put. I don't sell puts. I only buy calls, which is betting the price is going up. And I only buy puts, which is betting it's going to go down. Now, a put on the SPY for December 2026. So I'm giving myself 15 months for the theory that this could tank. But each put costs over $4,000. But my thinking is it is an insurance policy. My personal tax situation at the moment is tricky. And there is the possibility, my accountant says it probably won't happen, but there's a possibility that don't like possibilities that I might pay 28% tax or I might pay 48% tax on my investing this year. So for me, I don't want to sell the stocks that I've got because I'm going to have to pay tax on it and potentially 48%. So I could afford the S&P to come down all the way down here and still not sell the damn things because I'll be better off where I am. But this way, if the S&P goes on a run and it comes down to 6,000, shall we say, and all the indicators are then it's going to bounce back up again, I could take the profit from that, which would be taxable, but I could put that into buying stocks that I want to buy. So that's one way of doing it. The other thing is to be doing it is to be taking partial profits. And I have taken partial profits on some, and I'll show you in a minute about my thinking about taking some partial profits on some of my gold miners because my balance of my portfolio now, because gold and silver is so high, the physical is up, the mining stocks is up, but now that it's becoming unbalanced, I've got too much in gold and silver. So if the stock market goes on a run up for some inexplicable reason, and the Republicans need to get to win the elections next year, so they need a buoyant economy. If it starts to really shoot up, my gold and silver is going to come down. And if I've got too much tied up in gold and silver, that would mean that the current balance that I've been enjoying would disappear. So a little bit fiddly. Yeah, Dan, yeah, I will show you TradingView, my setup. Somebody else asked me actually, Tobias was asking me about that, so I will show that in a second. Right, so this is the SPY, the SPX, the SPY, sorry, is here. This S&P is here. To take out a put option on this would cost you a fortune, but the SPY is a tenth of the value. So it's the SPY that I've actually taken it on. And I bought puts here 3-4 days ago at 661. So my bet is it's going to go down at some point. But my hope is that it's going to keep going up. One of the things I did wrong with this, and I've learned this from Travis Wilkerson, who I have been studying the books, and I still can't get my head around all the terminology. But he was saying if you buy a put and it loses 50% of its value, take the hit and then buy another one at the new high. So if this one keeps going up here, and I am my 4,000 per put is down at 2,000, I would take the hit and then buy another put. So that's a useful lesson I've learned with my previous put on the NMP and DX on the Nasdaq. So US 100 up at all-time highs as well. And then I say the UK, this is the UK economy. Anybody who lives in the UK, do you really think that the UK stock market, in view of what's going on, should be at all-time highs? Because if so, I've got a bridge to sell you. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, also I was looking at the Japanese stock market as well the other day. I'm not really into betting short, but that when you look at the politics and what's going on in Japan, there will have been a lot of people shorting that. Bitcoin tried, well, last week we went down to 108. Now we were yesterday back at 114. It's meandering around. I'm leaving it. My Bitcoin stocks are still doing well. XRP, I bought some more XRP and I paid 290, I think, yesterday. I've been doing a lot of reading and studying on this. This guy, Jake Claver, he works with high net worth individuals, and he does talk a lot of sense on what's coming with XRP. And I listened to a few podcasts the other week from other people as well. I think he might be right. I think something might be about to really shoot up on XRP. So I did buy a few $1,000s worth more of it. I have fortunately got a lot of it from before when I was showing you I was buying it down here and lower. So again, these consolidation periods I was showing in the previous week. So the gist of it is I read a lot, I study a lot, I listen to other people's opinions, I then apply my own techniques. I use my own M2 breakouts and pullbacks usually. Crypto, often price will set off like it did here on XRP and doesn't pull back. And crypto is so volatile, it doesn't matter generally. If a $2 stock goes up 10, 15 cents, it's not going to make the difference between a profit or not. I mean, again, you look at this, which went up 300 or 400% in a few days. So I don't bother too much with that. Stocks, I do tend to look more for pullbacks. But anyway, let's have a look at my portfolio now. So this was my portfolio yesterday. Say it was a sea of green. It was quite insane because gold was up, all the miners were up, which was great. All the dope stocks were up big time, which was great. And in general, I think nearly all of these were up as well. So it was a crazy, crazy day. And this is not normal. Having said that, quantum went down towards the end of the day. So all this lot is down. So there are opportunities in quantum stocks at the moment, is my thinking. Uranium is at a high now. But again, think on about uranium. I told you about this in 2023. The world is going to go for cheaper fuel, cleaner fuel. Nuclear is the cleanest and the cheapest. There's not enough of it. And the geopolitics with Russia and Iran mean that some of the biggest areas that have got it can't sell it. And therefore, pure supply and demand. I do still have, I think in Andy's account, my daughter's account, I've still got Rolls-Royce. This is the only British stock I've still got. And partly it's to do with the fact that Rolls-Royce have developed or are developing in final stages a portable nuclear reactor. So that's an interesting one. That's why I've kept that one. So I've got Rolls-Royce, I've got the engines. I believe they're doing a big deal for the plane engines as well. And then on top of that, they've got this nuclear job. So I'm still into that. Other than THS might be on the UK. Oh, that's on the UK stock market. But this is a South African company, and this is to do with rare earth metals. Vodafone we've got rid of, so that can go. And what's that one? That might be the one that we're in for Andy. I'll have to have a look in a second. Other ones on here, these are things I've been looking at. So this was Schwab. So I was telling you the other day about the gentleman, Coughlin. He had suggested buying, no, he didn't actually. This was somebody else suggested buying Schwab as a short-term trade. Didn't work. One of the others had mentioned JD, which did work a little bit. And I was looking to buy this anyway. Can't even remember what this one is. And then gold I've got again. Tesla. I know quite a lot of you are into Tesla. I don't get it. I really don't. I think no. I could be completely wrong, but not for me. CCJ was my best uranium miner last year. Missed it this year. Got alarms set for pullbacks. So if you've missed out and you're cursing, then what you need is cash. and for cash, you need to sell some shares. So what I have been doing and looking at, and with my private clients who have their stocks in a tax wrapper, so they don't pay any tax on it, we have been profit taking. So this is Agnico Eagle Mining. We bought this initially. This was an M2 breakout in June of 24, and we added to it along the way. The ones from way back there are up 160%. Look to the left, see what happened before. As far as this chart's going back to 2012, this is the highest it's ever been. A lot of these mining companies are still not making any money, and therefore the thinking for something like this was take 20% off here or take 10% off and leave the balance to run, because I still think that gold has a long way to go. This is one myself I am going to take some. I have an option on this as well as the stock, and I am going to sell the option. Well, I've got an alarm set here. If it comes back down to 12.20, again, we were buying this in August, in March, February, March, and then August, it's up 118%. So for every 1,000 that you put in, you're now up at $1,800. So I would take out maybe $500 or $600, which is obviously more than 10%, or even $700. Now I've only got 300 risk in there. The rest of it's bought and paid for, and I've now got $700 to put into something else. This is Buenaventura, which is a South American mining company. They also are heavily into copper, and I think it's them that's just got a deal with the Argentinian government. Was it them? I'm not selling this. Copper looks as though it could be the next thing to go on a big run, so I'm not selling that one. EDR, Endeavour Silver, is at 11.03. Some of the banks put out notes the other day. They were saying it was a buy up to $12 something. And again, if you look in here on TradingView, you can usually see, where's the bloody news gone? It went, here you go. So Endeavour Silver target raised to $12.15, which is the Canadian. So this is the TSX. This is a Canadian dollar. So they're saying $12, but clearly we're getting very high on this. So if I had this in a tax wrapper, it's doubled. I would be taking the stake out now and probably $250 worth of profit, and hope it's going to come back down anywhere down here. So basically, I'm doing that with clients who have money tied up in tax wrappers, so they don't have to pay tax when they sell. Groy, if you watch the markets every day, gave an opportunity last week. 78.6 fib pullback to the 55 EMA in a clear uptrend, and I think I had a trend line on here as well. So that was the best gold miner, sorry, for me this year. And they're actually a royalty company, so they make money from lending to gold companies. So all of this lot, and then the dope ones. I didn't buy this one, it just gapped and went. So again, from a trading perspective, we're at a double top with where it was in June. It's done a huge move up yesterday. But what generally happens with a gap? Somebody tell me while I have a sip of my tea. What normally happens when you have a gap in a chart? The gap, well done, Khalid. The gap technically usually closes. Now it can take a long time, as it did here. Oh no, you could say it closed actually on the pullback, but sometimes it can take forever for the gap to close. So here it took a long time. But this is euphoria. Everybody on Twitter yesterday was talking about cannabis. The ones who made the money were the clever ones who bought it a lot lower down for fundamental reasons from earlier in the year. I was not in this already. It shot up 28%, and therefore I wouldn't buy it. If I hadn't bought it, I would be putting a alert in here. I'm thinking about it on the pullback. Remember, I will only buy it though if it can make at least 25% to recent highs, and that's pushing it. This is the one I did buy yesterday and does break my rules a little, but we were above the 55 EMA. We got in at it did a move and then it did a pullback. I think I got in at 152, was it? I can't remember now, 150 something. So that one wasn't as bad a gap. This is the one that I have been holding from down here, so May and then July. And again, from July, this has gone up. It was up 130%. And I explained before, I bought options on this. So I can't remember how many contracts I bought. Maybe it was it? I can't remember. Let's say it was 10 contracts. I sold 2.5 when it shot up to here. That paid for the risk for the rest of them. And then when it shot up here, I sold another 2 or 3. So the balance I've got left is then available. I bought some more here on the pullback. Standard M2 breakout pullback to a 55 EMA with a decent potential for something that fundamentally has got the potential to go nuts. If I wasn't in it now, I would be looking back down here, because up here, I wouldn't. He might get lucky and it might keep going, but it's all dependent now on Trump following through. And this is another one. I bought this recently. This is at a double top at the moment, but once again, the all-time high for this in 2020, 21, and also in 2019. The cannabis firms, originally, when cannabis was first legalized in a lot of states, the cannabis firms went nuts and lots of money was piled in. But because of this thing where they don't get tax breaks, and because the street prices were cheaper, they couldn't run a profitable business. So quite a few of them went bust, and that's why it came all the way back down here. This Trump thing is make or break. So again, for me now, if this doesn't work, I'm okay, because I bought and paid for, and it's all about risk management again. And that's what I'm doing there. Any questions? Anything else I was going to talk about on here? Oh, yes. Trading view. Ashley says my setup might be different to other people, but I was talking with somebody the other day and he'd got a different EMA on here. So let me share with you what my EMAs are on here. And so you can play the video back later and you'll be able to see. So I've got the 200 EMA on. Oops, and the settings for this are as follows. So have a look after the event and you can see what's going on there. And the same for the 55 EMA. Where's that? Sorry, the other EMA, yeah, the 200 is that one. So that's what's going on there. And then this one is a freebie I found. So you just have to search for it in indicators. And this one was fiddly. It took Ashley forever to work it out, bless him, because I couldn't work it out. These are the settings. I'm not going to explain them because I don't understand some of it, but that's the settings for the M&A level. So it will show you the weekly and the monthly on the daily chart, just like in FMP. Okay, so that's what that one's doing. And you can go through each of these and see what they're doing. And then you can set it so it will show you the price at the end like I've got or not. And then this one, this is Phil, bless him. Phil from the UK, one of our private guys. He's a good programmer. He managed to make an indicator that does the daily range for us, which is most important for Forex. And that one there is inside FMP. And Ashley showed me it this morning and I can't find, oh, here we go. So if you go into trusted products, TradingView charting software, this is talking about getting the software on its own. And then what I've just shown you is the daily range indicator of Phil's, which is on a Word document. And Ashley shows you here how to copy and paste it into TradingView. Close the gap, pulls back to get Phil's. Sebastian says, yeah, that's what generally happens traditionally with a gap, that a gap usually gets filled as price comes back and retests it. Any more questions for me before we go on to Ashley? Ashley's got a sore throat, he says, so he's got man flu this morning, so it's probably quite pitiful as a man. Anybody else got any questions? Dan, I've done that one. Julian, I've talked about that. And yeah, I think that's it for me for today. So anybody does have any questions, stick them in the box, and if I get a chance, I will answer them as we go along. The recording for this will be in the blog. My bit will be in probably tomorrow now. And just get reading, get looking, get joining the dots. Think about what's coming next and how can you jump on the back of it and just grab a piece of the action. That's my thought for the day. Right, Ash.